Hi, it's Kamon Reynolds. Let's make another split with our package versus nuke challenge. So just to update you really quick, or if you're just now watching our videos, we have 3 packages over there. We started on the 2nd day of April that we installed. If you haven't seen our videos, these 2 were having big issues. That one still has the original package queen. This one right here went queenless, and it took a lot of brood. Took 2 good frames of brood from this colony and one of our mated queens that we introduced in another video to help get this colony straight. It's still much smaller than these over here, but with a little TLC it'll be fine. This one, the queen was laying a really just pathetic pattern. You know, and the thing of it is, they're all getting the same attention, but some of these are just more robust than others, and it comes down to good queens, because we treated these colonies as soon as we got them as packages and dropped the mites before they started brood rearing. And so mites shouldn't be a factor. There's no signs of brood diseases. Sometimes you just get an inferior queen, and that's all it takes to keep your colony from thriving. So these 2 right here are nucleus colonies that we raised queens for September of last year, overwintered them as nukes, and in the 3rd week of April, we stuck 5 frames of our nukes in each one of these colonies, and they drew out every comb, unlike those. So now we've split that one and made that colony over there. We just added this empty box. We're going to be throwing foundation up in there and getting them to draw it out. Both of those colonies are doing good. We'll throw some foundation on here. But now let's split this colony right here. We have pulled 3 frames of brood from it so far, but it's still a good, healthy colony. We're going to make a different kind of split than we did on that last one. If you want to watch that video, I'm going to leave the link up here. It's a full, deep split. Just broke the colony right down in half. The split we're fixing to do on this one is going to be a little bit smaller, but still healthy. And if you have combs, definitely works. Now, I said earlier in the year that I wasn't going to use any combs from outside resources, but on this split, I'm going to do it. One, because if you have some, it's very useful to know this information. And you might not have any this year, but you very well could be in this position next year. It's just a different way to split using a smaller population of bees. Set that aside. Alright, so one thing we don't want to do, obviously, is take our queen, so we need to find her if we can. And we are going to make a split that's about half the size of the other one. Boy, I've got this tight in here. These frame feeders are really not meant to have 9 frames with them, but you can do it. But boy, it's hard getting the first bit out. Alright, now that we get this out of here, we should have room to maneuver. Alright, so I've got a frame of stores over here. Likely the queen's up here in the top, but you never know. Queens typically like to move upwards, and that's why a lot of beekeepers have switched over the decades to using equipment that goes up instead of going long ways. That doesn't mean you can't use that type of equipment, but you do have to make sure the queen does not run out of room. So this is a frame that we swiped from one of those when we exchanged a frame of brood for a frame of theirs, and they hadn't completely drawn it out. Whew, they have really propolised this hive down. Alright, here's some emerging brood that I can see bees hatching out. There's plenty of syrup/honey stores up top. There's a small hive beetle on my arm. Not anymore. And there's another one. Alright. They've eaten a good bit of the pollen patty down there. I'm seeing a little bit of bee bread. The bees are bringing in some pollen. I'm pretty sure that the yellow stuff is from corn, though, which is not very nutritious at all. And so just because your bees are bringing in pollen doesn't always necessarily mean, that's just a food frame again, doesn't necessarily mean that they are healthy. You've got to look at the larvae and make sure there's plenty of royal jelly down in there with those young larvae. The less they have, the shorter lives they will live. Okay, well the queen very well could be below. I'm seeing stuff that's looking more like brood frames over here. Alright, yeah, so we have some really young bees on this frame, and I'm seeing a bunch of eggs down in the cells. We have some queen cups over here, so we're just going to rip those open and see what's going on. A lot of times the bees just have a few hanging around. Here's another one up here. There's nothing in them. I'm seeing eggs and stuff over here. This isn't the kind of frame that we want to give them because it takes a lot of work to raise brood. So these eggs are going to take a maximum amount of work in order to take care of. But this would be a good frame to shake into the colony because there's a good chance there's a lot of nurse bees on there. Keep in mind, we pulled a lot of bees from this colony. We could have long ago made a split had we not been trying to fix those packages over there. Alright, so we've got some food over here, and on this side we just have tons of larvae. I mean, it's just everywhere. That's what you want to see. Look in this corner right here. See if you can see that with the lighting. Look how much royal jelly is down in there. You need to see some royal jelly down in there. We got to get that, Laurel. Alright. So this would be another good frame to shake. But wouldn't be a great frame to necessarily give because the new colony is going to have to do a lot of work to that. Let's see what we have down here. It should be a lot more brood. And this colony, again, would be significantly bigger had we not pulled those frames of brood for those other colonies. Now here's the patties right here. For those people that tell you can't feed patties in small hive beetle country of significant size, they just haven't probably tried it the right way. Alright, let's get this out of our way. That was a pretty good sized patty at one point. I just dropped some of it. Ants will thank me for that later. The best defense that you can have in your colony is just a big set of healthy bees. Plenty of them, healthy bees. Bees that have a lot of mites or viruses don't act the same. Alright. So we got some capped brood over here. A lot of young stuff. Still looking for the queen. Seeing some eggs down in there where bees have emerged out. Not seeing the queen. There's capped stuff on this side, so let's go over here. That's a good frame of drawn comb. There's not a whole lot to that one. Oh yeah, bunches of eggs down in there. That's good. But there's no way this colony would be brooding this hard without that pollen patty. It just wouldn't be happening. There's eggs over there. Let's keep going this way and see if we can find her. Okay, here's some more capped brood. Good bit of larvae over here and some capped stuff. A lot of this is recently capped. You know, right now we're just making sure we see where the queen is. And I know a lot of people say don't stick frames on the ground. I don't have that many hands. What am I supposed to do with all these things? I can't remember if I put them back in. So if it's something we're going to use, we're sticking it over here. If it's something we're probably not going to use, then we're sticking that over here. We're seeing eggs over here. It is a good practice not to stick your queen frame on the ground. You will see me do that a lot though. Alright, a lot of good larvae over here. Well, this queen has been moving around and laying a lot of eggs, that's for sure. A lot of brood moved around in this colony. Notice how when I smoke, I'm just basically pushing the bees down. I'm really not getting deep into the colony. Also, you know, we're doing this fairly quick. And so, I think that's one of the tricks to not getting stung a lot is, one, genetics is super important. Very, very important. but two, just how you handle yourself in the hive. A lot more eggs, larvae, and how quickly you get in and out. Well, we gotta be getting closer. Keep in mind that it takes 3.5 days for an egg to hatch, so if you're seeing eggs, she was there, but a queen can move quite a bit in 3.5 days. This would be a good frame of brood to give them right here, capped older stuff. But we just about taken everything out of here. Usually I find the queen a little quicker than this. I might have overlooked her. And sometimes they're on the walls of the boxes. I already looked underneath the lid. Boy, it is warming up today. Okay, we're back to resources. Not seeing a whole lot of brood. So this is a resource frame. We're just going to stick it all the way to the left side here. I like to keep the honey frames and the pollen frames towards the edges. That's where the bees naturally stick them. It's a good idea to, most of the time, just keep them where they would place them anyways. Makes it a lot easier on the bees. The queen shouldn't be on this frame because it's all honey, but sometimes they will be. Wait a second. Well, probably overlooked her on one of those frames. Why didn't you tell me if you saw her? Leave a comment below if you happen to see her on any of the pictures. Alright, so we're just going to carefully go through these things again and make our split. A lot of times I make my splits without locating the queen. It's nice if we can find her, but most of the time we don't have the time for that. Sometimes she's back down into a cell, so this is a frame of capped brood, and there's some older larvae that are getting capped. So this is a good frame to use. I'm going to give this one to Dustin. He's been helping us out this week. I'll just stick that over there. And then keep in mind all these forager bees are going to fly back. I know a lot of you all who watch our videos consistently know this. I keep one of the most important things about splits, and the things that are often overlooked with splits, is the fact that there's a lot of bees that are going to drift back to this colony. That's good for multiple reasons. One, because they already have a queen over here, so the older bees don't have to worry about accepting this queen. But if you that colony over there, since it has a bunch of young bees, it's really easy for them to accept a new queen. You don't have any old bees whining about the presence of a new one. It just makes it a lot easier to get a queen accepted. Alright, this is another frame of capped brood. A lot of times when I miss a queen, it's because she's halfway down back into a cell, and that is why it is really nice and important to have marked queens. That really helps. This one has eggs and the young larvae and a little bit of cap stuff. So we're just shaking that in. Stick that over here. And this is a bunch of other young stuff as well. Not seeing the queen. We're going to shake this in. And one thing, when we put all this brood back, you want to keep that brood together. You want to do that in general anyways, but especially when you make splits, you have less bee coverage. And so you need to make sure that it's easier on the bees to be able to cover everything. Whether it's them overheating in the summer or in the early spring, late fall, getting too chilled. That doesn't have any brood on it. Alright. This right here is a good frame to shake. This is an older comb. It's got a lot of divots in it. Sometimes you got to watch the edges. It's one of the advantages of plastic foundation, is that you don't have these big gaps over here and underneath where the queens can kind of hide down into. There's advantages and disadvantages with both. Right, Dustin, you mind shaking that one in for me? While he's shaking that in, we'll see what else we can find. This is a really good frame to shake right here. Really good looking brood. I'm not seeing the queen, so this one, we're going to shake this one in as well. swap you?
Yep.
Alright. This one right here is foodstuffs for the most part, and larvae. Stick that in here. We don't want to take too many bees. And I'm fixing to show you a trick here in a second. This colony is not quite as large as I hoped it would be. But that doesn't mean a whole lot. Alright, we're just going to go ahead and keep that one in there. We definitely don't want to imbalance this colony too much or it'll cause problems. Just go ahead and stick that frame in, Dustin, if you don't mind, or I'll do it. It's got larvae. Oh, there's the queen right there. Well, goodness, it's either one, her red dot has been wore off her back, or they superseded one. I don't see any trace of a red dot. They very well could have just superseded their queen. I don't remember this queen being that solid of a collar either. Either way, there's the queen, so that's great. Let's get her back down in here. Were you able to see the queen, Laurel? Mm-hmm. Okay, good deal. So this colony is going to need a little bit of TLC, but we have our fall flow fixing to come in, and typically it's really good. I mean, you're not going to make just gobs and gobs of honey off of it, but if you have really strong hives that are at least good, healthy 10 frames of bees or more, oftentimes if they have the comb to put it in, they are going to build up and sock away a lot of natural resources to overwinter on healthily. The problem is with a lot of beekeepers, they don't have a healthy foraging population because that's typically when the mites are the highest and other issues like that. Alright, let's throw, tell you what, Dustin, grab 2 of those frames right there, and we're just going to shake these in as well. A lot of these are forager bees and they're just going to go back. Alright, check out this colony right here that we're making. I'll just swap you, how about that?
That's good.
Ooh, about got that one. Alright, now here comes the trick part. We took a lot of bees from this colony right here. A lot of bees. So this one's emerging brood. A lot of emerging brood. And typically I would give that to that colony. But I really don't want this colony to get too weak. I want to keep them going. So I'm going to throw that together. Grab me a couple. Well, actually, Dustin, just fill this up the rest of the way with combs, if you don't mind.
Yep.
And just throw 2 in here. And then close the lid on that one. Now let's grab some more bees from a different colony. Oh yes, you can do this. A lot of people are going to tell you you can't feed patties. A lot of people say don't mix bees because they'll fight. You can do both of those things, but you got to do them the right way. Okay, there we go. Now here's our queen right here. We marked her with a green dot, but there's a lot of bees down in there, but just because you're seeing all those bees right now doesn't mean that, you know, 20-something% or more of that could definitely leave. And if that happens and there's not enough to cover the brood, the colony's got to then, is going to lose that brood. They got to do all the work of cleaning out that brood. They go backwards. It's just a bad situation. Alright, so we've already pulled 1 frame from this split right here. We gave it to one of those bad packages off of this split. That's just how well this young split's doing. I've got everything haphazard over here. Alright, we will be putting a frame feeder over here in this right corner. There's so many bees on these frames I can't hardly get to them, to grab them. Excuse me. A lot of times when they're on the frame rest that much, you just kind of have to wiggle it around just a little bit until they move out of the way. So that's really good coverage for those 2 frames, but we really didn't get a lot of older brood in there, so I'm going to see if we can find a nice frame of older brood in our split right here. Alright, and then we're going to throw in some combs so you guys can see just how quickly a colony with combs and a split like this with a good queen and some good feed, whether it's from us or nature providing it, is going to just explode. And this is going to be a healthy colony by the time our winter gets here. Now, of course, if you're much further up north, you might need to shake in an extra frame or 2, or even throw an extra frame of brood. Whatever it is, you've got to know your season. But Michael Palmer, one of my favorite beekeepers, he overwinters NUCs up in northern Vermont. So again, just like with the pollen patties, just like with the feeding, with the splits and mixing bees, there are ways to do a lot of things, but you have to do them the right way. Bees, they have rules that you got to abide by. Whew. A lot of bees in this hive. Let's see what we got here. Don't want to take this clean either. Oh, wow. Is this good looking on that side as it is on this side? That's pretty good over there. Oh, there's the queen right there. She's only a couple months old. Doing a fantastic job. And again, like I've said before, as this brood emerges, it releases pheromones that attracts the queen to come over here and lay up the cells as they become available, which is a really smart system. But check this out. Look at that bee power right there. Get down in there. Alright, so the queen's off. We are going to take this frame right here. And a big frame like this has about 7,500 cells, so we're probably looking between this side and the other side, which is emerging right now. So this is the perfect frame to give this colony, because literally within 24 to 36 hours, most of this is going to be hatched out. Maybe some of the other stuff might be 48 hours out. Whatever it is, every second, literally, this colony is going to be getting stronger with young bees that have their whole adult lives ahead of them, which is exactly what our split needs. On top of that, those young, gullible nurse bees are easy to introduce a queen to. So now we have our split. Doesn't look all that big. We're going to grab one more frame. Get all this burr comb off the top. And we'll be sticking a feeder frame over here and feeding them. We'll be getting a feeder rim and then putting a pollen patty on this until the fall flow starts good. Keep in mind, like I've said before, this split right here doesn't have a lot of foragers. It won't have really any for quite a while, because all the foragers will go back to the original colony. So this right here is going to need some feed until they get old enough to be able to take advantage of what nature provides. And right now, nature isn't providing a whole lot anyways. So what we're going to do is introduce our queen right here. I'm going to take one of these leaves right here just because I can. And I am going to wad it up a little bit. And this is, bees will tear through a leaf like this real quick. I don't like quick releases. And that's kind of why I'm a little skeptical using any other thing but queen candy. I want to make sure that it gets done right. And I don't want them introduced too quickly. Now a colony like this, if she came out within 24 hours, would probably be great because it's all young bees. But if you were to do it to a big colony that's out of balance, I like to wait 5 days. And then release her. Not hand release her, but like open it up to where they can get to the candy. So they can't get even the candy, they can see her and smell her and take care of her for 5 days, and then I go in, make it to where they can eat through the candy and then release her a couple days later. Because a lot of times this candy, they can eat through it in 2 days. I'm not a big fan of poking holes in the candy or anything like that either. No reason to rush it at all. Alright, so let's smoke these bees in a little bit. Oh, thank you, Dustin. Wondered where you went to. I was thinking, man, a bee must have chased him off. Got some new feeder rims right here. We'll need to correct that bee space over there. We'll scoot all this over and get a... Oh, that's what you did. Well, doggone, Dustin. Hang on to that. There you go. You need to stick around more often. Look at all those bees right there. Look at that, Laurel. All about bee coverage. You gotta have good bee coverage. Now you don't have to use frame feeders for sure. There's a lot of different feeding systems. So there you go right there. We'll be keeping you updated on the progress of this new colony. And so right here, package versus nuke challenge started out with 5 hives. We've gone through some adversity with almost losing 2 packages. We're going to be showing you in the future, probably in the next couple of weeks, how well they're rebounding. We'll keep you up to date on this one. That colony's doing good. It's awesome. Hopefully we can help you all enjoy beekeeping as much as we do. Always, thanks for watching our videos.